Yo, welcome back. It's Ryan, and today I want to talk about tariffs. Tariffs. Why? Because I think a lot of people are concerned about tariffs. Okay, since Donald Trump is back, it's legit that people are concerned about him imposing more tariffs. I would be honest with you, it's gonna happen. Okay, tariffs are not going anywhere. That is Donald Trump's whole strategy. So he's gonna use tariffs and he's gonna impose them, and it's gonna happen. But I want to explain about tariffs first. Now, I know a lot of people probably know what tariff is, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Okay, just really quickly. So, voila. Tariff, very simple. Okay, so tariff essentially is tax on imported goods. Okay, so they charge a specific percentage of tax on a specific good from a specific country. Okay, so what happens is when the good leaves the port of that country, the tax is not collected. Okay, obviously, who the hell is going to collect tax from that country? Like, who's they don't give a shit. But when the good leaves this country and arrives in a port in America, the custom there will expect somebody to pay for this tax, this tariff, okay, before they release the good. So somebody from that corporation who ordered this good will go to the port and pay for the tariff, the tax, and then the customer release the good. And then the corporations will sell these goods, okay, to the everyday Americans. But the catch is, because now there's a tariff, which is a cost to the corporation, what's likely will happen is, even if the corporation do decide to absorb a little bit, very, very likely, most of these tariffs or the cost of these tariffs will be spread out to the everyday Americans who are buying the product. So if there was a product that used to be $10, let's say, well, it is very likely it's $11 or more now, for example. Okay? So if there's more tariffs, the cost keeps going up. And then when you buy it, you're going to have to pay even more. Okay? So that's how it works. Now, I did mention though, the tariff is a specific amount on a specific good from a specific country, right? So that is actually important to understand. Why is that important to understand? You see, because Donald Trump is saying he's imposing tariffs so that, number one, America can get its fair share of all the goods that is coming into America, essentially. And also he wants to bring back more jobs back to America. Okay, so his whole campaign was make America great again. Now, here's the thing, right? In my opinion, the notion sounds wonderful, but I just don't think it's possible. I think it's mostly bullshit, to be honest, because think about this. To bring these jobs back to America, I think it would be crazy. It would be impossible to even fathom how they would be able to do it. Just the costs alone to bring back these infrastructures, right? Like they outsourced for so many decades. A lot of these manufacturers and factories are out of commission or they don't exist anymore, right? So it's going to cost a lot to rebuild them, okay? And second, if you try to bring these jobs back to America, dude, it's going to be a lot of union fees and wages and benefits and blah, blah, blah. Just the cost of bringing these jobs back is not feasible because it will cost them so much to actually make this product in comparison to having this, particular product outsourced to a different country to make. And I'm not being mean here, but here's a fact, okay? Just statistics. Approximately 40 to 45% of Americans are obese, okay? Approximately 67%, I believe, is overweight. So how are they going to bring all these jobs back to America? Who's going to do them efficiently? That's the fact. I'm sorry to say, that's a fact. It's going to be hard. That's a huge difference. You see, Americans will be doing these jobs to try to make a buck and trying to survive and, trying to live essentially, okay? But in these countries that they've outsourced for so many years, and, to these countries that are poor and developing, dude, man, this was a means to survive, literally. I'm not just saying we're just here all trying to survive. No, for them, it's truly trying to survive. Like, they're really surviving, okay? They keep their head down. They'll make a fraction of what we would make here in the West. And they would survive off that. They wouldn't complain. They wouldn't whine. They wouldn't say nothing. They would appreciate the job and they would do it quick. They'll be efficient and they're productive. And they'll find ways to cut down the cost and make it more efficient, make more of it. So how are you going to compete with that? What corporation in the right mind is going to do that, essentially? Like bring all these jobs back to America and try to get Americans to do it? At what cost? And everyone's like, oh yeah, it's good for Americans. Well, you know what? If they come back and it's going to cost so much more for the corporations to produce that amount of goods, essentially that will translate that back to the everyday Americans. They're going to pay even more. Very likely they're going to have to pay more than what it costs or used to cost to make it overseas, even with the tariff, to be honest. So I just don't think that's really feasible. So no, I think what's really going to happen, and I think he knows this, Mr. Trump. So what he's really trying to do is not necessarily bring the job back. Some may come back, but it's just for show and tell, to be honest, in my opinion. Most likely what will happen is they're trying to spread out. They're trying to spread out these outsourcing to other countries too, so that no one single country can benefit so much from them, because they've learned their lesson with China, because China kept their head down. China shut the fuck up and did their job and made all these goods, and then they have all these manufacturers in China that was, built by Americans, essentially. So what they're essentially trying to do is spread out, this outsourcing to different countries, like I said, so that no one single country can benefit so much from America, And here's a fact. We live in the West. I live in the West. So it is in our best interest that America stays in superpower. That's the truth, It will not do us any good if America loses superpower. That's a fact. Americans have so many enemies and so many people they've used in the past. The fact is, if they lose superpower, it will not be good for anybody in the West. And especially they don't want to lose their superpower to another country in the East. That would be like the ultimate bad. So when it comes down to it, what they're really just trying to do is spread out their outsourcing to different countries, less fortunate country, let's be honest here, where, no one single country can benefit all of it. And this way they can control how profitable they will be, how developed they can be in the future, things like that, just to protect themselves. Let's be honest here, So when Donald Trump imposes a tariff on a specific good to a specific country, what will likely happen is, if the cost keeps going up, these corporations keeps increasing the cost of the goods that you're buying, more than likely they're going to be smaller or mid-sized player where they will come in and try to take advantage of the situation. they're going to try to develop, or they're going to try to outsource to a different country, where, you know, there's less tax, less tariffs, and, you know, try to build the infrastructure there for the manufacturing. And then what will happen is the big corporations will see this, and then they will very likely also decide to, you know what, let's just, you know, bite the bullet and move to that country and start building infrastructure there for the manufacturing and outsource these work to, you know, that particular country, okay, to keep the cost down. Okay, because at some point, there's going to be a threshold where it would just make sense for all the corporations to think about moving their manufacture from China to another country, essentially, because it's just going to cost too much, you know, from tariffs, and it's just going to be unpopular with the regular everyday Americans. So, in my opinion, it's very simple. Tariff is not going away. Cost of goods is probably likely going to keep going up. But what will happen is it will get tapered off as, you know, corporations starts to spread out their outsourcing to other less fortunate countries. And, you know, and then at that time, like I said, it will be a lot more stable at that time. But otherwise, though, I mean, unless China can come up with some other ingenious strategy to do this, but otherwise, that's my take. That's what I think is going to happen. It's, you know, tariff is not going away. It's going to keep, you know, going up, and there's going to be more until these corporations are willing to outsource to different countries, essentially. Okay, and then at that time, it will be a little bit more stable, and then back to square one. Okay, so thank you. See ya.